are out there today, and good to see. Is it possible for him tomorrow, or probably going to hold him out? Just
No, I would say there's possibility. You know, I don't honestly know. I would still say he's day to day. I would say Dickinson's day to day. You know, I would call Bert probably day to day. So honestly, we could have all three. We might not have any of them. So we'll know tomorrow.
Burakovsky a little more?
Burakovsky will play for sure. Yeah.
Did Nazar leave practice early today? It looked like
I think a little bit, but he wasn't going to participate in that drill.
Okay.
It was more of that than it was the setback or anything like that. It just there were certain drills he was going to go full and certain drills he wasn't, and that was one he wasn't going to go full.
Speaking of drills, you incorporated maybe a newer drill. Took him a little time to figure that out, but did you like the response?
The change one? Yeah, so we've done that before. You know, I think on the very first rep, we didn't. There's a balance when you change. If you can change and keep pressure on, that's what we'd rather do. And there's sometimes where you can change and you can't, and then, you know, we're in a certain kind of 1-1-3-ish format. And so we just worked through the pressure piece of it today. You know, I thought there was something that we didn't pressure the puck enough the other night. I thought there was opportunities, and it wasn't all off changes, but there was just a mentality of kind of falling back instead of when there was tons of chances to pressure more. And so, you know, ultimately my take would have been we didn't have the puck enough, and it was because, one, we didn't pressure enough and play in their end, and two, we probably didn't break out and support it well enough.
Have you thought more about the second period issue? I mean, one theory that's been brought up is that maybe guys take their foot off the gas after playing well in the first, but could it be that other teams are see the game plan, make adjustments, and then the game plan is less effective as the game goes on? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't say that's not a potential. I'd have to, you know, think about that. I don't know that there's been a whole lot of that. I would say I thought on the road trip it was better, to be honest with you. I think if you look at scoring chances in the road trip was better. Certainly the other night wasn't. I think when we're not playing our best, we're not breaking the puck out clean, and we're not spending enough time in the O-zone. And I think that is exemplified in the second period, especially, or amplified in the second period. So you can get away with it a little bit more in the first and third, and then in the second, it really gets hammered because you can't get people on and off the ice. With the first, you can still kind of get people on and off the ice. So to me, it's mainly that. It's when we're not breaking it out, you know, clean enough, and then we don't spend enough time in the O-zone as a result, and so it just becomes this never-ending cycle. That's how, you know, we set that drill up as a second period change for that purpose, you know, to try to create those opportunities to have that pressure and stay on their end. So, you know, is it a game plan thing? I mean, that's probably a game-to-game thing. I think generally, to be honest with you, most of the, I would say, adjustments are probably a little, I don't want to say overrated, but there's not like these huge grand adjustments. I think generally you see a lot of that in the first, so that would be my take.
What emphasis are you making with Renzel right now?
You know, I think probably the biggest thing with Sam is he probably twofold, I guess I'd say. One, he has to eliminate some of the scoring chances against. It's hard, you know, that's just the reality of it, and then we got to get him back to playing his best. So when he plays his best, I think he controls the puck more, and part of that is skates more, you know, and so those kind of two things that we're working through with him.
You led earlier in the year, you used kind of a reset with Levshinoff and having him sit. Is that something at all a possibility, or do you feel like 11 to 7, I guess?
No, it's always a possibility. Always a possibility, for sure. And if that's what we feel is the right decision, mostly for his long-term development, that's what we'll do. And sometimes you need a reset. There's zero doubt about that.
There was a play where Moore was kind of cutting through the middle of the D and then trying to pass it over to Connor. It looked like he could have just gone. Is that sort of your advice, that, hey, maybe you're faster against NHL guys than you think?
I would say this, that when you get put on a line with somebody like Connor Bedard, you know, there's an effect of, I got to get him the puck, I got to get him the puck, I got to get him the puck. And that's not, you got to kind of play and make the right play, you know, in every situation. And, you know, and there was a situation in overtime where I thought he could have given him the puck. So, like, it's just, you gotta learn to make the right play regardless of who you're playing with. I thought that was a little forced more that way. Like, could he have taken it? Maybe. I thought he really tried to force that pass, you know, so there's just that balance. You know, it's just part of the growing process, I think, of you know, at that point you're on an NHL first line, and you got to learn how to handle those situations. You know, we had the same kind of effect in Tampa with Cooch. You know, guys would just try to get Cooch the puck when you really just got to make the right play.
He was talking about how he's feel like he's been doing well in his battles down low, and he was just talking to Brian Keane about that. He said, have you been impressed by his ability in that regard?
Yeah, I think his battle level's been good, but honestly, I think his battle level's been good from the first day I saw him in rookie camp. Like, he does compete really, really hard. He's pretty strong in the puck. You know, I think he's got to make sure he goes in there and stops on it. You know, sometimes I think you skate yourself out of the battle, so he's just got to make sure he stops on it. But I think he's done a good job. I think he's done a good job with those battles, and it's just, you know, the process of kind of learning how to be productive in the NHL.
As a coach, how much do you dissect overtime? Or I know the time just have to be spent, you know, in so many different areas. But
Yeah.
what I guess are you guys looking at where the chances are coming for, or how you guys are giving up, or how deep do you?
What are we, 1-3 right now? Is that what we are? 1-3. You know, I don't think it's been quite good enough. One of the big areas, I think, you know, we had an overtime meeting not very long ago where we discussed, you know, just the different kind of things that we think are really important over time. One is changes. You know, you want to try to out-change the other team. You got to be smart about when you change. You know, the other night we probably tried to press the change a little bit, and then sometimes you just have to play tired. It's just the reality, you know. And so, you know, we had two guys go off the ice and a third guy trying to get off the ice, and really probably should have one guy get off the ice and the other two just have to play tired. Just the reality of it. You know, you know, if you go back through the overtimes, I mean, it probably should be 2-2. Like, we should have won the Boston one. We had the real chances that we just didn't finish, but that's life. But yes, we do dissect it, and yes, we do spend time on it. Do we spend time on it every day? No, you know, because you could go a month without one. So it's just the balance of when you kind of do it. But when you get in overtime, you want to make sure you're dialed in. Big ones for me are you don't want to waste shots where you're just giving up possessions on a C chance. You want to make sure that you're smart with your changes. These both ways. When you have possession, make sure that you change. You almost baiting them into bad changes, kind of like what happened to us, to be honest with you. And then probably the other thing is just learning how to use each other offensively to kind of set subtle picks, stuff like that.
The two defensemen, was that to counteract the speed that New Jersey had, or?
Well, I would say it was kind of a balance of. You know, if you look at the lineup we had the other night up front, we were missing some guys that normally play in overtime. And so then you're saying, okay, who's the next best guys to go in overtime a little bit? And there was some defensemen, I think, are where they remember when you go overtime, it's kind of just man on man. It's just, you know, so it really doesn't matter what the position is. But with that said, you know, against Hughes, we wanted certain guys on the ice. So that's why those guys were on the ice.
Bertuzzi maintenance today?
I would say day to day, he's you know, a little banged up. So I think he's going to be available tomorrow, but I can't guarantee that. Yeah.